In this project, we'll create a logo that features classic type on a circle. And I'll start things off in this movie by showing you how to create type along an open path. So we'll switch over to the starter document here. And by the way, if you're working along with me, this document features Myriad Pro Black, which you may or may not have installed on your machine. If not, when you get the alert message, just go ahead and click the open button and switch out my fonts for some nice bold fonts of your own. All right, the first thing we need to do is take this circle. Notice that I have just one circle inside of this top layer here. We need to break it in two because you can only join type to a single path outline in Illustrator. So we need the top half of the circle separated from the bottom half. And just so I can show you the difference between working with closed and open paths inside of Illustrator, here's how we're going to work. I want you to press the A key to switch to the wide arrow tool. Then click off the path outline to deselect it, and click on that top anchor point in the circle to select it. Then go up to the Edit menu and choose the Copy command, or of course you can press Control-C or Command-C on a Mac. And now we want to go ahead and paste a copy of that anchor point along with its two neighboring segments, so in other words, the top half of the circle. And the easiest way to do that is to return to the Edit menu and choose Paste in Front, or press Control-F or Command-F on a Mac. Now press the V key to switch back to the black arrow tool and click on the baseline of that point text object to select it. Now, if this were another program, you might be able to join the type to the top half of the circle, but in Illustrator, you have to cut and paste. So go up to the Edit menu and choose the Cut command, or press Control-X, Command-X on a Mac, and then click on that top half circle to select it, and then switch to the Type tool, which you can get by pressing the T key. And now position your cursor over the path outline. And notice that it changes from an I-beam inside of a dotted square to an I-beam with a little dotted path going through it. And that tells you that you're going to convert this path to a text path. And you do so just by clicking on it. You'll get this tiny blinking insertion marker, which pretends to suggest that that's where you're going to create your type. And initially that's true, but things are going to go a little bit haywire in just a moment. Now go up to the Edit menu and choose the Paste command, or press Control-V or Command-V on the Mac, and you create this text that begins at the place that you clicked and then proceeds to the right, the reason being that this text started out flush left. So let's go ahead and change that by clicking on the Align Center icon up here in the Control panel. And initially, that's not going to do anything. And that's because we're centering the text at the wrong location, but we can change that using the black arrow tool. So go ahead and click on the black arrow up at the top of the toolbox. You can't press the V key, of course, because then you just enter a V character into your text. All right, now notice this big tall line that's jutting up from the half circle. That indicates the point around which your text will be centered because it's currently a line center. Now go ahead and drag that line in order to move the text along the circle. What I want to do is exactly center the text on the top anchor point, which is a little tricky. You have to make sure your cursor is just slightly above the path outline, because if it's even slightly below, you'll end up flipping the text like so. So if you end up getting flipped text or something goes wonky, then here's the solution. Go up to the View menu and turn on Smart Guides if they're not already on. And then you'll have a lot more control. Now go ahead and drag this line once again, which now appears below the path outline because I flipped the text. I'll go ahead and drag it up. And now I can drag far above my path outline, as you can see here, and I'll see a vertical green line when I've exactly aligned my cursor to that center anchor point. All right, now at this point, I can release the cursor. Now we've got a couple of additional controls that you might want to adjust. Notice this vertical line right here, which indicates where the text starts, and this vertical line, which indicates where the text ends. If you drag one of those inward, you're going to reduce the area in which your text resides, and as a result, you'll end up with this overflow marker. That tells you that you can go ahead and flow your text into another object if you want to. Obviously, that's not what we want. In order to make sure the text is exactly selected, you need to drag this right-hand vertical line all the way down to the final anchor point like so, and then drag the first vertical line all the way down to the first anchor point. And you'll end up achieving this effect here. And now we can go ahead and change the text from black to white by clicking on the first color swatch up here in the control panel and selecting white from the list of swatches. And that's how you create text along an open path outline. Now, naturally, of course, the text is not centered as it should be inside of the design. and that's an item that we'll address in a future movie.